Gary, cold open question.
Yes, sir.
If you had to marry one of the Golden Girls, which one would it be?
Blanche. Easy.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
She put out, obviously.
Exactly. She was the one that was giving out the most action. So,
but this is to marry. You're not dating them. To marry them.
Same thing I do with my wife, Blanche, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd still pick her.
Yeah.
All right. I guess it's unanimous amongst you guys. Go ahead. Start the show. So you guys would think about it a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe it's true what they say about guys. I don't know.
She's the go-to.
Tonight on the Brian Lennon Show, we're joined by special guest Dan Tart. We have a Halloween recap. We'll discuss the Redskins, or is it Commanders? Elon Musk buys Twitter. I'll go over my COVID weekend. The bloodline, all things Joloni, and more, all on this episode of the Brian Lennon Show on Substack.
Pretty fancy music there, Brian.
You like that, huh?
I did.
That's the Brian Lennon Show band. Yeah.
Yeah. All 1.5 of you.
Yeah.
It's a 4-piece. We're on a budget. Anyway, I want to welcome into the show. We have a special guest this week. I've known Dan for 22 years.
Jesus, really?
Yeah. In fact, it was 21 years ago today, Dan, that I moved. Maybe it's not. No, it's not. I lied.
It was in November sometime, though.
Yeah, it was November. I moved back to Scranton from Leesburg. Someone's frozen. It might be me.
Yeah, you were.
Okay.
You're good now.
Did you guys hear anything I just said?
Yes.
Yes.
Leesburg.
Oh, okay.
Your audio is still good.
Okay, good. So, yeah, that was 21 years ago. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy. Now, were you with the Bitch Ain't My Mother? Is that the last place you lived?
Yeah, in Percival, yeah.
Yeah, so not even Leesburg.
Yeah. So,
that area nowadays.
Yeah, I bet. So welcome in, Dan. It's been a while since you and I have chit-chatted.
It has, other than you telling me what I can and can't do.
That's right. So what's good in Dan Tart's world? Bring us up to speed.
Oh, life, kids, that kind of stuff. Just got finished coaching football, middle school football, which is always the fun stuff.
So what grades are they?
The oldest is a senior. Kai, the middle, he's an 8.
No, on the middle school football team.
Oh,
unless you have seniors playing middle school football.
We have
it's
well, now with all reclassing rules.
Oh, yeah.
Last year we literally had 2 guys we played against that were supposed to be sophomores because they reclassified twice. But no, 7th and 8th grade. That's the only sport that 6th graders can't play in middle school. Like they can do basketball, golf, all that kind of stuff, but they're not allowed to play football in middle school. So just
and now I've seen pictures of you with the team.
Yeah.
There's a number of players that are bigger than you.
A lot of, well, I mean, hell, my kid's almost as big as me.
Yeah.
So.
How is that coaching? Because I've never coached players bigger than me.
Well, because
especially like a contact sport. Is that weird?
Well, no, you just hold on to the pads really tight and kind of move to the side when the big guys come at you. Plus, I was coaching quarterbacks and receivers, so not a lot of them were that much bigger than me. So that was a good thing. But no, it was fun. We just finished that, and it seemed like a year, but it was only like 6 months. But yeah, other than that, just waiting for the oldest one to get out of school. He graduates this year, and he's going to NASCAR school in August.
I saw that.
Yeah, down here in North Carolina is a thing.
That's cool.
So, but yeah, and then the youngest one, he's the only one that still likes us. So He actually talks to us, which is cool.
Yeah, it is nice to have one that still talks to you.
Right.
I'm in the same boat. I have 3 and one talks to us.
Well, your 3 are like 30 now, aren't they?
Yeah, I think they're collecting Social Security soon.
Yeah, that's about it.
All right. I had a question too, because I remember maybe 2 years ago now, you like sliced off your hand or something, right?
Oh yeah. I don't know if we can see it in the camera. There's a spot.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Damn. Jeez.
Yeah. And actually the tattoo that's right here, the skin was pulled down all the way past that. Like I can literally see my 2 bones.
Ooh.
And I always want to tell people it's a cool knife fight story in a back alley, and I barely survived. But it was really just hitting a headlight on a van, and my hand went through the headlight. And
Is that what happened?
Yeah. So it was a box light, and so if you bump it, it reconnect. If it's like flickering or whatever. So I just went to bump it, and I guess my ring on my finger shattered it, and my hand went straight through, and it cut off. Pretty much, they said it was spaghetti hands. But I lost, cut the artery, cut the main nerve, cut 7 tendons in my hand. So now I can only feel, like I can't feel this part of my hand on this side. It's still numb. But
Really?
yeah,
Wow. That's crazy.
so yeah,
Are you able to grip stuff?
yeah. These fingers can work pretty well by themselves. The pinky doesn't move by itself. Is it like that I can do, but if it's up, it doesn't move. But yeah, no, I'm fine now. And it really didn't. I mean, it hasn't really changed. Like they're saying that it's supposed to grow back, the feeling and everything. But 2 years now, it'll be 3 years in May. So yeah, 2.5 years. But I can still do everything. I went to work 2 weeks later because staying home with the wife is driving me nuts. But we all know how that goes.
Do you get phantom pains?
Yes. And it's kind of funny because you're like, where the hell did that come from? But it's literally like this part of my hand is pins and needles all the time. Remember PCU?
Mm-hmm.
With the movie where George Clinton's the man and he's like,
yes,
George Clinton's on stage.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But he's sitting there and he's like, pins and needles.
Yes. Okay.
Like that's what it feels like all the time. So, but I mean, I can do cool little tricks where I can, put that part of my hand like on a burner, and it doesn't hurt or anything.
I don't know if I'd suggest. I don't know if I'd suggest that, but
I mean, my party days, I would have.
Yeah.
Yes. More importantly, can you type still?
No.
You can't type with that hand, huh?
No, I can do the 3 fingers, but I have to reach with my ring finger to like the A and all that stuff.
Ooh,
a pinky, though.
That's tough.
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass. But I mean, I've gotten better, and I found myself with this hand doing the searching key thing, just with 2 fingers. So, but yeah.
All right, and so I know Dan because so people who may be listening and wondering who the heck you are, Dan. I met you working for the Loudoun-Times Mirror.
Correct. Did I ever tell you how I got that job?
Were you hanging outside the back door?
Pretty much. I was sleeping by the dumpster.
Oh, jeez.
I didn't have a place to live, didn't have any money. I just got out of school, but quit college because I couldn't afford it.
Right.
So I moved back to Leesburg and sleeping on friends' couches and stuff like that, but no permanent place. And I saw a paginator position. Remember that word back in the day?
Yes, I remember you were a paginator when we started.
Yes, I had saw that position come up, and I lied my ass off about what I do. Like I went into the interview and just lied my ass off because I didn't know anything about Illustrator. I knew PageMaker, but that was just from high school shit. But yeah, I didn't know anything, and I just lied my ass off for that 1.5-hour interview.
Who did you interview with?
I interviewed with Martin, of course.
Is he still alive?
I was getting ready to ask that same question. That was the thing in my mouth was, is he still alive? I had an interview with him, and who was the old news lady? Used to cover all the horse all the time.
Shannon Sullivan.
Shannon. I interviewed with her, and then I can't remember. There was a lady that was over paginators, like layout, but
Yeah,
I can't remember her name. But yeah, so I started doing that, and I guess I was there right before you.
Yeah, you were there when I started, because I started in January.
I think I had just started.
And literally my first day, they called me into the office with Martin. Is that his name? Martin.
Yeah,
Martin Casey. I get him and Casey Martin always mixed up.
Two different guys.
Yeah, Martin and Rob Gregory called me into the office, and then Rob had just given his 2-week notice the day I started.
Yeah, because you were hired as an assistant, weren't you?
Yeah. So then they're like, in 2 weeks, you'll be the sports editor, and you have 2 weeks to learn what Rob does.
Which we found out wasn't much.
So I was like, okay. So I, did as much as I could, and then you came aboard as the assistant.
Yeah, and what did they say? It was all whistles and bells from there, wasn't it?
And it was probably it was one of the most fun and exciting 10 months of my life.
No, that wasn't because of the work, was it?
Well, the work, I loved the job.
Yeah, we had fun.
That wasn't work to me.
No, we had fun.
But it was tough to live.
That is the truth. That's the reason why it took me a while to move from behind the dumpster.
But we had a lot of fun.
Yes, we did, sir. Oh, and speaking of, guess what game I was getting ready to go to tonight? Come on.
I know. I think Buffalo is playing Ohio.
No, think of high school sports. What we used to cover, high school sports.
Potomac Falls.
No, our the high school here that my son goes to, they're in the state semifinals for volleyball.
Oh yeah.
So we were getting ready to go to that, but Kai didn't want to go. He was tired from basketball practice. But I think we're actually going to go to the state championship game on Saturday. And
nice.
It's at NC State, but.
So that brings up an interesting point and something you both are interested in, because when I was at Penn State with Gary, one of the things we kind of latched onto was the women's volleyball team.
Always.
Oh, yeah.
And now it's huge, Gary.
Yeah, I know.
They sell at Rec Hall. You can't even get tickets. We used to get free tickets because we were students.
But
and we would go in.
You would walk in there and there'd be hardly anybody in. I mean, there'd be a few people, but not the pictures you sent me. And then we had it on the one night. We were flipping through the channels and we happened, Penn State was playing. We turned, I'm like, holy, look at this play. It was jam packed the whole entire play. I was like, man.
I always stop on college volleyball when it's on the TV, but it's gotten huge. Period.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah. Now that's a question I have for you guys, because one of the websites I was reading was talking about
Wisconsin volleyball.
Well, that was a sellout too. I don't know who they were playing, but they were talking about that and referencing how come there's not professional women's volleyball?
Yeah,
or yet.
Well, I'm sure. In Europe they have them. Pretty positive.
They do. South America, I think, and Europe also has women's professional teams. But
what's amazing to me is the fact that colleges now have beach volleyball teams.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just 3 or 4 years new, isn't it? As an actual collegiate sport.
Yeah.
But and they're always packed, of course. So I don't know if it's revenue causing it, because look at what happened with the women's soccer league, NWSL or whatever it is. They started that a long time ago. I think I was still in Leesburg when they started that, because I went to the first Washington Freedom game as I was working for the Democrat at the time. So that had to have been 2000. And then that went defunct for years until they just started it a few years back too. So I don't know if it's because of women's revenue and getting the fan base, but I mean, I think there's a way you can do it without having to guarantee so much money to support it.
Yeah, I was saw something that like the highest paid woman in Europe makes like $800,000 a year,
Shit,
which is not, which isn't much. And I mean, you're paying where there's 6 women on the court at once, so they maybe have a roster of 12 to 15 players.
Yeah, as I say, 15, I think, is what a lot of
so
schools.
You're probably fielding a team for less than $2 million.
Yeah, but are you generating revenue from that? I mean, I'm sure merch can get you there. But see, I think where a lot of these women's sports are missing out on money is like camps and things. I know women, like girls' sports have gone so big that they're having, like, remember back in the day, well, still now, there's 8,000 football camps you can go to because there's a need for it. So, I mean, I think they can get by with that kind of stuff because, like, Penn State probably has one. They probably have a camp for high school girls.
Oh, definitely.
So, I mean, it's like stuff like that they could capitalize just to help with it.
The thing I think is in volleyball's benefit is that, like, women's basketball does not compare to men's basketball.
No,
it's just too slow. They don't have the air game that the men offer, so it's not attractive to a viewer.
Right.
Soccer is okay, but it's probably still a little slow. And again, in America, soccer still hasn't caught on yet. Whereas with volleyball, like we haven't really watched much men's volleyball to compare it to.
No.
So, I think women's volleyball is still,
it's definitely a bigger sport nationally. Women's volleyball is. And it's like the West Coast high schools have men's volleyball all the time.
Right.
Not on the East Coast. Like, I haven't seen one team on the East Coast that has a high school team. First off,
we have some men's volleyball up here in Pennsylvania, but it's a handful of schools. It's not like the whole conference. It's like 6 to 8 schools have it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's not much national view of it. But women's, I mean, hell, the school where we're at right now, our coach is the winningest women's volleyball coach in North Carolina history. And it's like a huge thing around here. Like, you have more people there than you do at football games. It's crazy. So,
what's that for?
For women's volleyball, for high school women's volleyball.
Oh, okay.
Like I said, our coach is the winningest North Carolina head coach in history, and I mean, it's huge. But you just don't have that nationally for the men's game at this level. And hell, the only men's volleyball players I could ever remember is like Karch Karai, and that's like had that video game, wasn't there?
Yep.
Spike It or whatever, or Side Out, whatever it was called, and it was Karch Karai on it. So, plus Misty May Trainer looks a lot better than Karch Karai. I'm just just by personal belief.
Yeah, I was looking. So it looked like it was supposed to be in 2021. They were supposed to launch a
streaming in May.
U.S. women's like professional league, but we're in 22 now, and I still haven't heard anything about it. So,
well, COVID probably knocked all that.
Something,
crap.
yeah, I was gonna say something must have shifted it around a little bit.
What were you guys talking about? I
said again. I looked up to see about it, and it's the one article I found was that in 21 they were supposed to start a company was supposed to start a professional women's volleyball. It's the same company that was going to be starting a softball league as well, but
that's what I was going to say too. I think softball is a good sport as well because it's different from baseball, and the pace of play and the action is fast.
Oh yeah, I
those
watch softball than baseball.
Yes, I have a couple of girls in school now that have been asking if they're like, could we play baseball too? I'm like, yeah, I don't see why not. I'm like, because we don't have a softball team, but I'm like, there's some women baseball players right now. out there. So I'm like, I don't see why you couldn't play for the middle school or high school team. I don't care. Some girls are better than some of the boys anyway. So, yeah.
But I know, Brian, when I moved down here from Virginia, like I took the sports editing job in Elkin, North Carolina, and I did Elkin and Yadkinville. Great towns.
I've heard of them.
There's like 8 schools. No, nobody has. There's like 8 schools to cover, and they give you a page and a half to cover 8 schools. Anyway, freaking great, right? But at that point, and this was 2001, at that point, they didn't have a girls' soccer team. They didn't have girls' softball. Like the girls that wanted to play those sports had to play on the men's teams, and that was at the high school.
Mm-hmm.
So
no, were the girls allowed out of the house in that part of North Carolina?
And that's what's weird, because coming from Leesburg, where girls couldn't play on the high school team because they were too important to play on their travel teams. Like they weren't allowed to do the high school because it wasn't big enough. So it was so backwards.
We're trying to really get the girls' sports up and running, because I mean, the last couple of years of the school, there wasn't a whole lot of girls at the school. So trying to get the girls' basketball going. There is one girl who plays football for the middle school team. And other than that, I'm like, yeah. And the volleyball is a big thing. A lot of these girls ask, why don't we have volleyball? And I'm like, I've been saying the same thing. We should get a girls.
Gary, you should get into coaching the girls.
Well, Gary, are they busy working on the wagon wheels and doing the horses up?
That's what it's
in Amish country or some shit.
That's what it seems like at this place sometimes. Well, no, you know what? This whole school was focused on football, and that's their big thing. So that's all they had was football. And then they had like some boys basketball for like middle school and for high school, but that was it. They had no other sports. So like baseball, I've been trying for the last 3 years to get this baseball program going. And
what's
the
school size?
This is it. It's small. We're only like 200.
It's a charter school.
Yeah, we're like 250.
Okay.
So
I got you.
But their focus was football. Really, they're trying to broaden the horizon. But so we'll see what happens. But I said, I'm like, at least for the girls. I mean, I know they're trying to get the basketball, but I mean, I've had a lot asking about volleyball and track and field. A lot of them ask about that too. So
now you're touching at my heartstrings.
It's been a while since I've done that, so I don't know if I'm going to coach track and field.
Yeah.
All right. How was Halloween for all of you guys last night?
Go ahead, Gary.
Good. I actually got to stand out front and hand out candy. Like usually I let the kid like go with his mother, and his friends came down and with his little brother. So then they all went walking around. So I stayed back and just enjoyed hanging out outside, handing candy out, and I had my lightsaber out. So I was had that on, and so a lot of kids were excited about that when they came up. So
now, were you dressed as a Jedi?
Yeah, I did. I put my robe on. I had my robe on, and I had my lightsaber out. So I was just sitting there.
So it was either a Jedi or a creepy dude in his robe.
Holding on to his lightsaber.
Right, exactly.
Out in the driveway.
You weren't stroking the lightsaber, were you?
All right.
But no, it was good. I mean, it was busy, like as usual down here.
All the wagons made it by fine?
Oh, yep, exactly.
And Dan, how was North Carolina Halloweening?
Well, where we are, we just moved here a year ago, so we started getting familiar with areas, and we're kind of in a neighborhood in a way, but we live maybe half a mile from downtown, and there's 2 separate downtowns near us, Mayodan and Madison. So they always, like, for some reason they had their trick-or-treating, and one was like from 3 to 5. And luckily the kids were out of school yesterday for teacher work day. So when I got home from work, I took Hudson to one of the ones, but it was pouring down raining. So I had to do the umbrella thing, and then his best friend, their family goes and does like the big neighborhoods and stuff. So they ended up just coming to get him and taking him with them. So I sat here watching hockey all night. Can't beat that.
Nope.
No.
I didn't have to dress up, nothing. And of course, the older 2, they don't care about it anymore. My Kai, he went walking around with his friends, but he didn't wear a costume or anything. So
Yeah, that's how he didn't want to take a bag or anything. He's like, well, I'm not collecting candy. I'll walk with them and stuff. Now he put he has a robe and so he put that on he took one of his lightsabers too and was walking around. But he was like, I don't want to collect candy. And then they're all like, get a bag, you gotta go, you gotta do it. So they forced him to actually go up and get candy. He didn't even want to do any of that. He's like, I don't want to do it. He goes, I'm like, just go with them and just here, take this bag and just get.
No, Kai just put it all in his hoodie pocket. Like, look, I got this candy for you. I'm like, dude, what the?
Yeah. Actually, there was a couple that did that when they were walking by. They would just come by and they like open up their coat or whatever, and I just dump it on there and then walk away. I'm like, oh, whatever. But
at least I'm not robbing houses.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And Kai is in 8th grade?
Yeah, 8th grade.
Okay. And Colin's in 9th.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, he just went to 9th this year, yeah.
All right, let's talk about the Washington Football Club, Dan.
Football team, Commanders. Don't call it football club because we're not talking soccer.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, question for you. Do you still call them the Redskins?
Yes. Every time I talk about them.
So is that on purpose now because you refuse to call them the Commanders?
No, I don't have a problem with the Commanders thing. Like, I've actually, if you can see.
Okay, so you have the Commanders tattoo.
Yeah, I've already got that. Like, I'm not one of those people that say I hate it, we can't do it. Like, my wife is. She can't stand it.
It's that habit, being a fan for all those years, and I'll say Redskins every once in a while too. And I wasn't even a fan, but I've just known them as that for my entire life.
Our whole life.
It's so hard to just to say something else. So
the broadcasters still do that. Like, you'll catch it all the time in games. Like, they'll still call them the Redskins.
Same with the Charge. I still say San Diego.
Oh, all the time. San Diego all the time.
I can't. I'll say St. Louis every once in a while too. I'm like, I go. Oh, damn it.
Well, you know what's crazy is like
Oakland.
Whenever I see the Guardians name on score boxes or whatever, I'm like, who the fuck are the Guardians? Like,
oh yeah,
I don't know. I'm like, oh yeah, the Indians.
Yeah,
so maybe that's a conversation, is the whole name change thing.
Yep.
But that, it didn't bother me when we had it. I knew it was going to happen just because of where we are in society now.
Yeah. It's true.
All right. So you're okay with the name change and the new name and all that stuff?
Yeah. I'm not going to stop liking my team, for God's sakes. Like,
yeah.
Okay.
Heart and soul into all of it.
All right. What about Daniel M. Snyder, the owner?
Yeah, the day that Jack Kent Cooke died is the day that this team went up in smoke. And that's not even because of Snyder, because Snyder didn't buy him until like a year or two later. Because John Kent Cooke, his son, ended up having it, but had to sell because of all kinds of crap. But yeah, once Snyder came on, it just ruined everything. Like, it hasn't been. It's the reverse action of when Jerry Jones took over the Cowboys.
Pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
The same owner, the same type. And that's what he wanted to be like. He wanted to be like Jerry Jones.
Yeah.
Jerry Jones invested the right way, whereas we paid Albert Hainsworth $100 million to fail a daggum conditioning test. So
there's
I remember that.
Yeah, there's do you realize when Daniel Snyder bought the Redskins, he was like 36?
Yeah.
He was only like 10 or 11 years older than us.
Wow.
We couldn't afford lunch the Thursday before payday, and he bought the Reds.
I don't remember where you were. You might have been working. We were probably still working together when we signed Deion Sanders, and I actually went to Redskins Park for the day.
You and I went.
Yeah, like, and Kornheiser sitting next to us and everything.
With Wilbon, Kornheiser and Wilbon were there.
Yeah. But yeah, it's stupid moves like that put this. It's just been nothing but jinx, curse, whatever you want to call it.
No, I'm not, in DC anymore, and I know you're not either, but you obviously follow them closer than I would because you're a fan.
Right.
And even just like the stadium over the last year or two, there's been like episodes with railing falling, leaking onto seats.
Yeah, but I think a lot of that gets played out because of who we are. You know, like I was reading something, from the Skins Colts game this past weekend. Like apparently they passed out game buttons or whatever, the collectibles or whatever. And it had the Washington logo on it and had the Colts logo on it. But it had the old name, like the old stadium name underneath of it. It didn't have
FedEx Field?
No, for the Colts. Like it was at Indy, and like it had the old name, like old stadium name. Like something like that would have been blown out of proportion if we would have done it, because it would have been like, look at this, they can't even get this right. Yeah. But Indy does it, and it's nothing. So I think that comes to is the bile that everybody holds against Snyder. And I think that's the one thing that we would benefit the most if he ever sold the team, was just getting the bad reputation from him out of it. But stadium stuff like that happens everywhere.
Oh yeah.
Now I posted that story maybe a week or two ago that ESPN published. So it seems like there's maybe a push among some of the owners to get Snyder out of the ownership group.
Right. And you got Irsay of all people coming out to say it.
Yeah.
And we know why he says it, right? Because he has no skeletons, because he's already been
everything he's done has been out and he's survived. So what the hell does he have to lose?
Yeah, exactly.
And Snyder's just running an organization into the ground, and he's getting more vitriol. Like, I don't know, and I just, Brian, and when I made the comment to you on that finding or that paper was that article was, he sits there and says they've got 30 plus sources, but 30 plus unanimous sources. And until somebody has the balls to come out and actually say it, like Irsay, like that was the first time somebody with a name has lit any creed to it. Like, I'm not going to believe 30 plus sources. And like you said, Deep Throat was that too. And I blame that SOB for the reason why journalists can now say anonymous source. But it's just the world we live in. Like, that I hate it more every day. It's, you get a news story and it's like story developing, and you get like 2 paragraphs. It's actual crap, and it's all about clickbait. And so, yeah, that they went over all the stuff we already knew about the bad workplace and all that stuff. That's in the courts. That's people coming up with it. But the new stuff that they had was one source said this. I'm like, okay, now you're telling me the Bible. Because basically the Bible we're supposed to believe from 30 writers we don't know. Like, I don't get it. And that's the media today. Like, I can't stand it, man.
That's so true. Yeah.
Like, hold some credibility. But that's just because they don't want to write news stories anymore. They just want to write opinion pieces and be able to make money that way. Sorry.
All right, someone is on his soapbox tonight.
Well, and I try to talk about it with people, and they don't understand my background being a journalist, and caring about the profession so much. Because that's the reason why I got out of it. I got out of it because it was cutthroat. It was who you could stab in the back to get the story. And it wasn't about the story. Like, you remember me and that guy from the Washington Post?
Adam Goldenbach?
Alan.
Goldenbach.
Yeah, something like that, yeah. Remember him and I would go at it. I'm like, this is high school sports, dude. Like, we're not writing for CNN or anything. Like, but because I was so young and I knew the players in high school still, I'd be like, just call me later. And it would piss him off. But like, you're trying to stab me in the back to get a news story from a senior in high school. Like, it's the biggest joke now. If you have an agenda, you can write for anybody. And you know me, journalism shouldn't be agenda based. It's the high, who, high, when, and where. Those people. Yeah. Sorry. Soapbox over.
Okay. Now, so you wouldn't reach a point where it got so bad that you would not support the franchise to get rid of Snyder, or
no? It's like voting for the president. My vote doesn't count. So why am I going to make myself miserable not enjoying the good parts about it?
Yeah.
You know, like somebody tried telling me yesterday because we beat the Colts that's my problem is I'm happy because we won. And like, really? He's like, yeah, because we'll just be pick 10 to 15, be mediocre. I'm like, okay, but I'm still going to be happy because we won.
Well, yeah.
Like, that's what winning does. Winning makes you happy, losing pisses you off. Like,
Exactly.
I don't get that's sports. But because I like a win from a 4-4 team, like if we were winning 11 games constantly and I like the win, then that all of a sudden makes it better.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
No.
Yeah, you don't. I mean, you don't want. I mean, you don't want that losing season. I mean, I know like some of these people that are fans that are like, oh, just tank already so we can get the draft. But what is that draft? You don't know what that draft pick's going to do. You don't know how that player is going to be.
Yeah,
I mean, look at some of these number ones now.
This will be cool for both of y'all. You could draft Kajana Carter.
Yeah. I mean,
bring up a Penn State bus.
So yeah. I mean, but like it's.
You could draft LeVar Arrington.
God, he was more. He actually made a Pro Bowl, so not a bust. You could draft Heath Schuler. That you could draft.
Ryan Leaf.
Yeah, we know that's biggest.
So I mean, but yeah, I mean, I'd take wins over anything. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't either. That's why I watched the game.
You know, I mean, last week I was afraid, like the Jets game last week. I was like, man, the freaking Jets. I'm like, usually they're garbage, and I was actually nervous about that game. I mean,
turns out they're still garbage.
It was up until about maybe the second half. I was like, okay, I'm better now. I'm all right. The Jets are Jets. So
yeah,
I'll
Jets
take
will
it.
do Jets things.
Yep.
But no, I mean, you can't tell me, and especially being a fan for 40 years, like there's no point that I'm going to say this is too much. Like I'll still get my tattoos. I mean, I'm not rich enough to buy jerseys or go to games anymore, so I don't support them that way. But yeah, that's because of poverty, not because of me not wanting to.
Oh, I buy all my jerseys from China.
Yeah, exactly. $29.99.
Yeah, I get the cheap.
You get them by the beginning of the next season.
And
all right,
I just noticed today they were announcing XFL stuff today. They were going through all the teams again.
See, I hope those leagues survive. Like, I really do.
I think professional football needs it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you look at what the USFL provided in the way of a Reggie White, a Jim Kelly, Steve Young, players need reps.
Yes.
And I know there's a few players this year in the NFL who've come over from the XFL or whatever the other one was.
There was that
USFL.
There was the both of them. Because there's
PJ Walker is starting for the Panthers right now.
Yeah. Especially a quarterback, because that's such a difficult position, and literally you only get, I mean, in college, if you get 12 opportunities to do that,
right,
against, and maybe only 3 or 4 of those games are against like high level competition, and then to expect to come into the NFL and compete when you've only maybe had 8 to 12 over the course of your career.
Well, and there's another thing too, is in college they're not prepping you for pros, they're prepping you to win a game in college.
Right.
Like holding up signs to call plays is bullshit. So you have that time with like the USFL, the AAC, like that is more professional, with professional coaches, with not, am I going to get fired next week if I lose to freaking Notre Dame? So
right.
I agree. There needs to be some kind of minor league professional team.
Yeah, I like it because it does it. I mean, yeah, it does, because I mean, you think, okay, there's all these college kids going out for football, and some of them are really good. They just go into those pro like camps, and they just can't get their systems down, so then they're getting cut. So now they have nowhere else to go, or they have to go to Canada and play up in there. So at least with the XFL now, I mean, it'll help out other kids like that can't make the pro team right now. Or
Taylor Heineke he was a friggin' backup in the XFL.
Well, that's right.
He won 7 out of his 10 last, 7 out of his last 10 games.
That's
But
right.
you're right. You need reps. It's about reps.
Yeah.
Like, why do you think baseball players? I mean, you got some of those guys spend how many years in the minors?
Oh yeah.
Right.
They're getting reps.
Mm-hmm.
They're making the game better when they get to that level.
They're still playing.
Right.
They're playing.
And I think that's why I kind of like it with the G League too. If you look at the NBA, which I barely ever watch anymore,
Yeah.
but the G League I think is great for those kids too who come out as friggin' freshmen. Dude, have you looked at a mock draft lately for the NBA?
I don't follow the NBA really.
But they're like, if you look at a mock, and I still follow all that. I mean, I got the damn ESPN tattoo, but I follow that. Like, and there's not a single person that's not a freshman going in the top 25. Like number 26 is the first non-freshman being drafted or being projected. So like these kids aren't going to all make it.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the NBA's problem and why, like, at least people like me don't watch it, because you used to be able to watch college and get to know these players over at least 2-3 seasons.
Yeah.
So then you're familiar with them and they're better prepared for the NBA. They're physically mature. They can hold up to an 82 game schedule.
Yep.
And without that, like, you watch draft night, I don't know any of those kids. So I have no interest or rooting interest into seeing where they're going.
No, I agree with you.
And now that's been happening for 10, 15 years. I really don't know who's who in the NBA at this point.
2 points real quick on that end. Being a Carolina basketball fan my whole life. I hate Duke, obviously. My wife's the big Duke fan. But I'll tell you, the most pro-ready college basketball player was Christian Laettner. But Christian Laettner went to 4 Final Fours in a row. Like, he had the most reps out of anybody could. And then he was like on the dream team. Like, that cat was ready to play. And he had an 18-year career in the NBA. He wasn't great, but he was decent.
Right.
Now it's you got to be big or nothing. And then the second part is you look at the player of the year last year for Kentucky was Oscar Schwebwe or whatever, however you say his last name. Well, he was a junior. He came back this year because he's a classic post middleman, like Armando Bacot for Carolina. They're a post big man. Well, nowadays you don't need a post big man in the NBA. So like they came back for their senior years because that's the only way they're going to be able to play and get better. What do y'all feel about the NIL though? Do you think that'll help college kids stay in college?
Yeah, I think that would.
I think it will.
Yeah. I mean, because that's a lot of their big gripes are all about not being paid for their likenesses and things like that. And I mean, I would think, that they would stick around a little bit longer.
Y'all remember the first person to ever sue for that? Who that was?
Was it the Fab Five?
No, it was Ed O'Bannon. Ed O'Bannon from UCLA.
Oh, that was over the video game.
Yep, that was him from UCLA.
Yeah, I think it'll keep kids in college because I think they're going to understand, and hopefully they'll hear from the guys in the NBA. Like, once you get to the NBA, it's a business. And, I think the idea of hanging around a college campus surrounded by 18 to 22-year-old co-eds while you're making a nice little income would be very alluring for most guys.
Hell, I got eligibility left. I was thinking about going back. Should I be eligible from being married too? So
how's that jumper?
Well,
yeah, you're
2 inches off the ground.
You're ineligible other ways. So
exactly.
All right, let's move on to the sale of Twitter this past week to Mr. Elon Musk finalized.
Is he the one that owns Elon University?
I don't know if that's named after him or not.
No, it's not. I used to work there. It's not.
I know it's not. But I think Jovan Musk for men is.
It is. You're right.
Are you guys a yay or nay on Elon taking over Twitter?
I don't really care.
Don't give a damn.
No.
Do you guys go on Twitter much?
Yeah, Twitter's my news feed.
I do.
Is it?
Yeah. I scroll. Before I go to bed, I'll scroll through Twitter and look at stuff. I do. I'll sit there and I'll.
You have a Twitter bedtime routine?
Yeah, I lay there, I scroll through it and stuff like that. That's why I said sometimes I have to then I'll see like something out there and I'll be like, oh, this can't be true. So I'll jump on my sports app or whatever and I'll be looking on there and I'm like, okay, no, I don't see anything here. So okay, that's a fake story. So I'm not even gonna bother looking at that. So then I go back to Twitter and go through it and stuff. Oh yeah, I don't watch any
occasionally I get
that's my news feed because I don't watch any actual news. I don't watch any of the stuff on.
I can't say I'm watching Sports Center anymore because it's not anything. But
yeah, I don't watch. The last time I watched ESPN was what was it? 2 Mondays ago, or last Monday when New England played Chicago. That was probably the last time I watched. That was the last time I watched ESPN in a long time. I never have it on.
Yeah, like I said, it's funny because I have the tattoo that says ESPN. I probably don't even look at ESPN anymore.
No,
like it's
yeah, I don't. I have a sports mobile app.
Brian, are you going to pay the $20 a month to be a verified Twitter member?
Well, it's $8, but no, because I'm not. I used to be on Twitter, but I haven't been on there really for like 5 years. There's a link like on Substack. I can post my stories onto Substack, but it just like automatically goes. I don't even have to look at it or get involved.
Which explains why I can't, because every once in a while I'll be on there and I'll try to retweet it or share or whatever on my and it won't let me do it. So there must be something. You must have it.
Oh, really?
I can't put it on my like feed or whatever. So I can't retweet it or something like that. I tried doing it the one day and it wouldn't let me do it. And I'm like, well, what the heck?
How many followers do you have?
3.
Real ones or
yeah, real
not
ones.
the hot chicks that friend request you on there, Gary.
Not Mahani Ruzgadova from Russia.
The billion other. Oh, I only have 127 followers.
Oh, okay.
But
now you got me curious.
Yeah, most of them are a bunch of fake people that I don't know, and then a lot of friends. I do have one porn star that follows me, but it's legit because a lady I used to work with was friends with her. So
that's the one you have a picture with her, right?
No, this is someone else. But no, this is someone. She's actually local. I didn't even know. My buddy Chris had told me this was a long time. My buddy Chris is like, he goes, "Oh, you should follow Courtney Cummins." I'm like, okay. So I pulled up. I started.
Oh, I know what she works for.
And then a lady I worked with at Bloom & Brands find out that that's one of her good friends, and she never even knew that she did it.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, so I told her, I'm like, oh, you should tell her to follow me on Twitter, just so she would follow, and she did. She texted her, and then she started following me on Twitter. I was like, oh, thanks for following.
So if I look up Courtney Cummins, is it taking me into a website that I teach my kids about?
Maybe.
All right. Well, maybe we'll have a future guest on the show, Gary.
Yeah,
I should see her. And she's big into football too. She does her own fantasy football league too.
Bring her on.
I have 173 followers.
So
yeah, I don't know half of them. I
Yeah,
don't know 172 of them.
I'd say my first 100 are probably all fake.
Yeah, I got something from an ISIS name I can't remember later. Like when you go to your followers.
Oh yeah, I have some weird ones.
ISIS.
But that's
or
let me see if I can.
Ava. Yeah. Anyway, next.
I can never find. There you go.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
So that's Courtney Cummins.
That's Courtney.
Okay.
She's Tampa. She's local.
I had COVID this week.
People down in Tampa. I keep forgetting that.
Yeah.
Where are you at in Tampa?
So I'm actually in Pinellas Park. So I'm that little other tiny peninsula
Nobody
that's
cares.
right
I
off Tampa there.
this week.
So right by Clearwater, St. Pete, right in that general area. So
I live down there off of Gun.
oh, okay. Yeah.
So
you're over
just a year
in Tampa there. Yep.
Right. All right. Sorry, Brian. Didn't mean to leave you out.
Yeah.
When did you live in Tampa?
Exactly from 2004 to 2005, like exactly April 1st to April 1st.
Okay. I kind of remember you being there.
Remember the Fridays we used to go to all the time in Leesburg?
Yeah.
My 21st birthday.
Oh, yeah. God. Yeah.
So I moved down here in October of 2004.
See, I was in April though. Didn't even know that.
Yeah.
But I was out with a bunch of friends, and one of our friends, his dad and mom had moved down there, and to Bradenton, and so we were going to go down and just visit or whatever. Well, I got drinking and everything. We started talking about let's move to Tampa or whatever, blah blah. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll go. But I didn't have kids or anything.
Yeah.
And so the next morning, I wake up on their couch, and they're like, "Hey, Tart, are you still going?" And I was like, "I'm going to work, dude." What? Like,
yeah.
He's like, "No, you moving to Tampa?" And I was like, why not?
Yeah.
So, literally 1 year. I loved it down there. I don't know why I moved back, but
yeah,
I did.
My thing was
I forgot that you lived down there.
She wanted me come down for a year, try it. Yep, and here I am.
Yeah, I wouldn't go back to Pennsylvania either.
Yeah.
Hey, what's wrong with Pennsylvania?
Honestly, I think I've only been there one time or twice, and that was when I went with you and your wedding. So,
and you had a good time both times, didn't you?
I did.
All right.
It was cold, but I did.
So as I said earlier, I finally got COVID.
Oh, you never had it?
No, I can't hear you. No, this was the first time.
Oh, I didn't know. I thought you had it at least once. Oh,
no, I was like the bionic man here.
That's what I thought too, until I got it the one time too. So
I refuse to go to doctors, so I don't know if I've had it or not. But I had to miss 2 weeks or 4 weeks of work because my kids had it.
Okay.
And I wasn't allowed to be at work for 2 weeks, so each time.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So that was fun. So how long did you have it, Brian, or how long was it hitting? Was it?
Well, it was actually, I think, last Tuesday night. I after the show, my neck and throat was kind of bothering me. It felt like almost like swollen glands.
Yeah.
And then Wednesday, when I woke up, didn't feel great. Went to work, got like a splitting headache, and I don't usually have a headache. Ended up like falling asleep at my desk.
Oh, jeez.
Because I just felt like crap.
Yeah.
And my boss like, you feel all right? I'm like, yeah, just have a headache. So he's like, why don't you go home early? So I went home, didn't get any better. And then when Jill got home, I said, why don't you test me?
Yeah.
And it came up positive. Because I was sick a month ago. Kind of like a headache, stuffy, like congestion.
Yeah.
But I tested negative that time. But it got me this time.
Mm-hmm.
And so then, like Wednesday, as soon as I got home, I just was like in bed. Actually, so Wednesday when I came home, I went to bed, woke up Thursday to get ready for work, like took a shower, still felt like crap. And that's when Jill tested me and it was positive. So Thursday, Friday was kind of out. And then Saturday and Sunday, I was feeling better. So back to work on Monday.
Yeah. So it didn't kill you. So that's good.
It did not kill me. I'm still here. So
yeah, mine wasn't that bad either. It was
we had to test
a couple days.
We had to test the two youngest kids last week because Hudson was sick all week.
Mm.
But that's because like they just went back to school because he goes to all year-round schooling, so they have like a month off and then go back to school.
Oh, okay.
And down here it's 30 degrees in the morning and then 80 degrees in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So like, he got really sick, and then Thursday Kai was really sick, but he ended up going because it was their championship game and he didn't want to miss. So like he ended up falling asleep at his desk, like at school. Right.
Been there, done that.
Well,
But we tested both of them. They were negative. So I was like, oh, Jesus, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard now because as soon as you start feeling like that, like the feverish and crappy like that, you're like, oh God, did I get COVID? And then you test, you're like, okay, good, I'm good. It was just something else that's hit me. So,
Brian, have you had to test Bernie at all?
No, we haven't tested him.
Okay, it's the first time when Hudson had it, and we took him to the doctor, and that was before they had like the easier testing.
Yeah.
Like they stuck that long ass Q-tip, touched Hudson's freaking brain. I know it did. And he was like screaming. He's like 9 at the time, so like or 8. He's like screaming, crying, and so now every time he gets sick, and they're like, "Do you want to do a COVID test?" I'm like, "No." Like I'm not going through that again, and neither is he.
yeah.
Like forget that. At least the ones you get at home now is
Yeah, those are a little bit easier.
yeah, a lot easier.
Yeah. Bernie's the last one actually. He hadn't had COVID.
Good. The other 3 had them.
And now it's time for Gary's News of the Weird with your host, Gary McDaniel.
Yeah. All right, so that's scary. Roaches spoil Halloween on suburban streets. So trick-or-treating is off limits in a suburban Detroit neighborhood. There's nothing sweet about bringing home a cockroach.
No.
Officials in Wyandotte said a cockroach infestation has been confirmed at a vacant home after a tip from a trash hauler. The pests have been moving to other homes. Sidewalks will be closed Monday night on a portion of 20th Street. City engineer Greg Maham said a Halloween ban will prevent further roach migration. Officials don't want bugs hitching a ride on costumes. The city is trying to exterminate the roaches, but it will take some time. Walking the street could help kill the cockroaches, but their eggs still could spread and survive, City Council member Todd Hanna said.
Ugh.
So, yeah. Can you imagine that?
No, don't want to.
Street of just roaches. Lovely. And then last
Is that like the Men in Black thing?
That's you know what, when I was reading, I was laughing. I'm like that kind of reminded me of that whole when they're all stepping on them and then the guys just screaming. All right, and then my last story here is Maine begins removing those naughty license plates. So Maine is cleaning up its roadways by removing the flippin' vulgarities from license plates. The state is enforcing new rules to eliminate F-bombs and other obscenities that appeared on vanity license plates after the state effectively eliminated its review process. The state began issuing recall letters this month with a handful each day. It'll take a couple of months to complete the process. Secretary of State Sheena Bellows is passionate about free speech as a former director of the American Civil Liberties Union of Maine, but she said obscenities should not be on license plates, which are state property. What I would say to those who want to engage in objectable or questionable speech, get a bumper sticker, she said. It's a bit of a head scratcher how a bunch of descendants of Puritans in a New England state ended up putting some of the raunchiest messages on state license plates. It started when state lawmakers all but eliminated the review in 2015 after a lawsuit successfully targeted neighboring New Hampshire's restrictions on vanity license plates. Maine.
Did they give you any examples of some of the plates?
No, I wish they did, but they didn't have anything on there. But So, but in Maine, there are about 124,000 vanity license plates on the roads in a state with about 1.3 million residents. Previous estimates suggested 400 offensive plates could be subject to recall, and nearly 40 recall letters had been issued as of midweek, officials said. I wish it had nothing on there, but oh wait, here, let's see. Maine's new rules. Oh no, it's just saying what they're banning, but they didn't have anything. I wish they had at least some, but I guess there was some F-bomb ones, and
I saw a picture of a license plate online. It was MRSHART, which may have been Mrs. Hart.
Yeah.
Or Mr. Shart.
and that is new to the weird.
I'm glad you got some animals in. Animals are very popular among the listeners.
Yes, I seen that.
Apparently.
Actually, there was a couple more animal ones, but I was like, I like the main one.
Dan, I know you watch wrestling, or you used to watch wrestling.
Still do, sir.
Did you watch SmackDown on Friday?
I watched most of it, yes.
Was that not hilarious with Sami Zayn and the Bloodline?
Oh, Uzi?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When he got them to break character.
They broke kayfabe, so but I'm glad they went along with it. Like they made it into something instead of just trying to hold it. Yeah, that was awesome.
That was so funny.
Yeah. I like it when it becomes real like that. Then it takes over their true acting skills, you know. Like,
yeah.
Back in the day when the Rock and Jericho would do that kind of stuff, it was all made up. Like they would just do it on the fly right there, and you couldn't like you'd see them laughing and.
You don't realize how good like live actors that they are.
Yeah.
Until you see something like that. Like I don't recall that ever really happening. Maybe with The Rock in that Attitude Era, which I really didn't watch. I was more of a WCW guy.
Well, there was the one with Rock and Jericho when they went off on Stephanie McMahon's breast implants. And they're just going back and forth about her breast implants. Like she's having a hard time not laughing.
Yeah.
Like look up the video though. It's freaking hilarious. But you're right. I mean, it's their acting prowess.
Yeah. In addition to everything else they do, like in the ring and you know, they're live actors, like live theater.
And it's even funnier because like like they have to know what camera to face. Like they'd have to know to be on hard camera. Like they have to. I mean, it's more than just hey, let me beat up somebody.
Yeah, it's not that old school stuff where they just come in the ring, they fight, and then that's it. Now
right. I still enjoy that.
Now they need to know, like, they have to have.
Hey, did you see it?
No, I know because
you have to look it up. It's funny.
I will. Yeah, I was driving to Jupiter, so I didn't get to watch anything on
Best Mars.
So,
it's going to be 3 weeks tonight, Gary, till you are live in studio with me.
Correct. Yep.
So special, a special TBLS in person.
Gary, why would you go to Pennsylvania in November from Florida?
So
family, right?
No, my thing is No.
Supposed to say yes, Gary.
So it was a night of drinking, me and my wife out.
Yeah, this happens
at the brewery up the road here. And when we get to drinking like that, we start purchasing high-end stuff. We'll just start buying stuff. And I mentioned that the one thing I've always wanted to do is go to Foxborough to see a live game in Foxborough, New England game. So we looked up tickets. They were playing the weekend before Thanksgiving. I'm like, oh, well, I'm off the whole week right after that. So I'm like, let's go do that and we'll stay up there for Thanksgiving. So that's
who were they playing?
The Jets.
Oh God. Yeah. So this will be the one game that you go to that the Jets win.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So I'm like, but I was like, that was the one thing I want to do. So yeah, so really it's the purpose was to go up to it for the New England game, and then we threw in Thanksgiving as a side note. So
right, just to make it look good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So now, question for you: when you go up to Foxborough, like I've heard that there's several things around the stadium that are just for the stadium purposes when they built it, like built a mall or whatever. I'm not sure, but however, my best friend and I last year we went down for the Mets Braves last season finale series. and he's a big Braves fan, being a Mets fan.
Okay.
The way they have that new stadium is there's literally 4 rows of restaurants, bars, like clothing, like just for that stadium. And like you don't even have to buy a ticket to go watch the game. You can stand outside the stadium because they've got a big ass TV out there, literally right outside for free.
Because I think in Foxborough, well, they have the Patriots Place, which is like the Hall of Fame things and all that in there.
Right.
But also, I think they have a CBS restaurant in there too. So I think, yeah, you could just go into there and sit and not even. But I was like, we're gonna do that. I think we're flying up on Friday, and I think we're gonna drive. We're gonna drive up to Foxborough on Saturday, and that's our plan is Saturday is to go over there and just do all the stuff right by the stadium.
Right.
And then Sunday the game, and then so.
Well, see, that's what we did because beers were cheaper outside the stadium.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
And like there was 800. There's one place that it was like a Top Golf because they had like different booths in the restaurant, but you could play like dodgeball, and it was like virtual reality stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
We left in like the 4th inning of the second game because we went Friday night's game and Saturday night's game.
Okay.
We left like I said, the 5th inning, went over there to get something to eat because it was cheaper again.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was great. Like, and we were still, you could hear the roar of the stadium because you're right by it.
Yep.
And then, I mean, we might have spent $120 on tickets for both nights, but we're like, hell, next year when we go, we're just not going to buy tickets.
No, just go right to those. Yeah.
Because that's the experience.
Yeah.
I actually think we're going to New York for this coming season for the New York for one of those series. But anyway, I was just wondering because all the stadium talk, like you see Tennessee's new stadium. Who else decided they were going to have a new stadium? Release the renders.
Buffalo.
Oh yeah, Buffalo.
Yeah, Buffalo just did. Yeah, they just did theirs.
But I think that's the way you have to go nowadays.
Oh yeah,
stadiums. You have to make it all year round.
Yeah,
like you have to make it like make money all year round, and that's with Dan Snyder. Virginia doesn't want to give them money for the new stadium. Maryland's not giving them money for the new stadium. DC said you're not having RFK. So he has to make a plan where he can put a casino right outside the stadium because that's going to be the only thing that brings the lawmakers. Because in Virginia, they just legalize casinos.
Oh, okay.
So if he does that kind of thing where it's a tourist attraction, it can be used all year round. It would make money. That's got to be your base.
Maybe he should relocate the franchise up to Northeast PA.
You already have 2 bad teams in Pennsylvania. But no, like you have to like make money somehow. And what it boils down to is, FedEx holds 92,000. Okay, that's cool in college and everything, but it's just too much. It's too big.
Yeah.
You do a 55, 60 seat place or 55,000, 60,000 place, put all that stuff around it, you'll make your money back. What you lose in tickets.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, yeah, that's what it seems like they all are now. They're more of an experience now than really anything.
Because that's all you can afford.
Yeah. So
I mean, Brian, your family of 10, like how many times did you take all the kids to a professional sporting event?
Just a few times.
Yeah,
we haven't gone all together since there's 6 of us either.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's so we're got a family of 5 and it's unbearable.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We're 3, and just what I've spent just for that, I'm like, damn. I was like, okay. I'm like, that's why I said, I'm like, all right, I just want to get there at least once. So
but before last year, you could get tickets to a Tampa game for $5 down there. So
oh yeah, well, yeah, here different story. Like, because I mean, like the Rays, like I mean, I just walk into those half the times. Lightning's a little different. Lightning, they're I mean, because the last couple of years they've been good. So, but I mean, I actually went it was the second year they won. I got like pretty decent tickets during one of the playoff games. I think it was the first round of playoffs, and I bought like the 3 tickets plus Colin took a friend, so because it was easier buying 4 tickets than it was the 3. So and it wasn't too bad, but yeah,
Well, that's what I was looking at. The Capitals play the Hurricanes at North Carolina State for the outdoor game, and it's at Finley Carter. Finley Carter holds like 60,000, 70,000. So you'd think tickets wouldn't be that expensive because there's more tickets.
Yeah.
No, like the cheapest ticket right now is like $183.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Like that's just crazy.
Uh-huh.
But inflation, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But funny story again, real quick, Gary, just for you. When I lived in Tampa, I had a friend of mine. She lived up here, huge Yankees fan.
Okay.
So she flew down to Tampa to visit, and while she was like Easter weekend or so, she flew down for that. Well, they were playing the Astros in a spring training game.
Oh, okay.
And so I ended up paying like $200 for a spring training game to see the Yankees and the Astros. I mean, we were literally behind the dugout, so it wasn't bad.
Yeah.
But there was probably, I mean, that place was sold at like packed.
Oh, yeah.
They get more people for those games than they do at a Rays game.
Yeah.
Guarantee it.
Oh, yeah. Same thing with the Threshers right up the road here. They're always, or the Phillies, when the Phillies play up this way, they're always packed.
Yeah. See, I've never been down to a spring training Mets game. Is there in what, Port St. Lucie?
Yeah. So they're So they're my wife's cousin, he's a big Mets fan, and he'll come down every once in a while. He'll go over there. Well, he just down recently, and they have their minor league team. They're like I don't know what they're, the St. Lucie.
Is that the one that DeGrom went down and
yes. And he was actually that's the reason why he went to that game, was because he was pitching that day. So him and Colin went and to see it. But yeah, it's right there. It's right by my in-laws. So
yeah, but like I said, those spring training games probably get more than Tampa Bay games.
Oh yeah,
Rays games.
Oh yeah.
Yes, Brian.
All right, I was gonna say it's been over an hour, so we're probably gonna wrap things up. I know, Dan, you have work in the morning. Got to make sure you get to bed.
It's crazy.
I have my miserable day tomorrow. I have middle school tomorrow. So.
Before we head out, I just want to remember our friend Joe Maloney passed away this past week.
Yes.
On Wednesday, high school classmate of ours. I wrote a piece on Substack in remembrance of Joe. If you want to check that out, it's on the Brian Lennon Show .substack.com.
Mm-hmm.
And rest in peace to Joe.
Yes.
Today is All Saints Day. Do you guys have a favorite saint?
Bernard.
There you go.
Lucy.
St. Lucie. There you go. Just gonna name the kids.
Port St. Lucie.
Right.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think of that.
St. Maximilian Kolbe. Check him out.
Okay.
All right. Anything else? Anything else?
What did you just say?
Maximilian
Okay.
Kolbe.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right.
I'm good.
I picked the right song.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Dan.
Anytime.
We'll have to have you on when the Skins win the Super Bowl.
Not that bad, Jesus.
No, that's a joke. All right. Good talking to you, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
And as always, thanks to co-host and producer Gary McDaniel. I'm Brian Lennon for The Brian Lennon Show. Have a great night.
Peace out.